If you really want people to believe that you've moved on from your crying because EFAP didn't like a show you like, maybe you should stop throwing snide jabs at them.
Are they still going on about fucking terriers? Show shit. I get it.
Hey Rex, you'd love it if you
Don't get it.
if you pretend you like it. Maybe it's something you want.
I'm like on every level. I don't understand. How can you be so bad at media criticism?
I don't like to roll this out very much. It's one of the worst shows I've seen.
I wouldn't recommend it to anybody.
Nor would I.
One of the worst you've seen.
One of the worst I've seen.
I would recommend.
Now I've seen, especially if you put me and Fringy together, we've seen a lot of shows. We're talking an unholy amount potentially. And if there were percentiles, this one's easily in the bottom 20%.
Yeah, I would much sooner recommend, if you want a procedural, just watch Law and Order. You'll get a lot more out of Law and Order. I like Barry. No, I don't like Barry anymore. I would recommend Barry. I think a lot of people would get something out of that show. I think a lot of people would enjoy it. I think it's a show that has good scenes in it, some great scenes in it, and potential. I don't see that in Terriers.
It is simple. You present the objective criteria, then you satisfy the objective criteria and reach a conclusion. Your emotional experience didn't enter into the equation whatsoever. This should highlight the issue of "in my opinion" being used arbitrarily to stave off criticism when criteria isn't clear, or when it's downright contradictive. It's as if they believe an opinion can never be refuted. Aside from that issue, when you make these statements and you don't bother to back them up with any evidence or argumentation, instead opting for the safety net,
"in my subjective opinion,"
you are not only creating content with the amount of substance that is on par with a thumbs up or down for each subject, you have also admitted that you have so little faith in your own perspective that you had to put a preemptive scrutiny shield in front of it. But don't assume that I'm immune from this. I am absolutely guilty of it too. It's just something I try to avoid when writing, and it makes the process much longer, hence why I still haven't said it in other than quotations yet. I understand though, holding a position like The Last Jedi as a masterpiece of a script is rough without saying something like "in my opinion," but to then use the definition of opinion as a preventative measure from evidence that counters that position is ignorance in its most classic form. Essayists will forget about the facts that ruin their narrative. We all have a narrative. Mine is trying to get to the logical baseline for every element in a script under an objective writing standard, and so I provide you references that are researched, and my opinion is rarely relevant because I have to follow what is seen and heard, and then relay that to you guys, which is essentially Quinton's biggest mistake. He thinks I'm sharing my opinion of The Last Jedi when I say there are contradictions in the script, despite referencing many of them, and I can't blame him because he is yet another person who uses opinion as a shield from criticism, but I don't. That judgment was objective, supported by references. If it is inaccurate and based on faulty information, then please scrutinize me. It will improve my work. What it won't do is prompt me to say, "It's just my opinion. Leave me alone."
The worst, the other guys, they do some duplicitous things to try and build a parking lot, like a friggin' airport in Ocean Beach, San Diego.
Meanwhile, if you watch the actual show, you'll find that these duplicitous things the villains are up to in order to build this airport entail grabbing land through numerous fraudulent schemes that run legitimate businesses into the ground, and murdering multiple people in order to prevent the truth from getting out.
I'm getting the feeling that you think that I'm aware of something that I am not.
Doctor's environmental reports regarding the Montague Resort, land grabs, political bribes, 3 people dead to keep your tarmac a secret.
You can't be serious. But if what you're saying is true, if Mr. Zeitlin broke the law.
He had 3 people killed.
Your mother, Eileen, she lives near here, alone. In a few minutes, 2 people will park across from her home on Lambert Street. Within 30 seconds, they can be inside it. They will hold her down and insert a needle here, beneath her fingernail. Within 15 seconds, she'll be in cardiac arrest. She'll be brain dead in 2 minutes. All we need is a name, Miss Ross.
Miss Ross, any change of feeling about your source? Got about 5 minutes before I have to move on to my next meeting. Why don't we wrap this up before that? Miss Ross, I have to go. Give me the name of your source, or I will just have to leave you alone with Mr. Burke.
Robert Gillert. Robert Chillard is my source.
So threatening old ladies is part of your business practice?
You should stop talking.
The worst, the other guys, they do some duplicitous things to try and build a parking lot, like a friggin' airport in Ocean Beach, San Diego.
Contrary to what everyone says, I've always said it's fine that EFAP doesn't like this show. It's not everyone's cup of tea, and I know that. I've had to deal with their fanbase who have not seen the show or the criticisms for themselves, assuming that I just thought that the show was above scrutiny, or that EFAP are not allowed to not like it. I've said from the beginning, it's perfectly fine that they don't like the show. But acting as if all that they said was that they didn't like it is some preposterous horseshit, because that acts as though when they were asked what they thought of it, all they went was, it wasn't really our cup of tea. We can see why others would like it though. But that's not what they did now, is it? If you really want people to believe that you've moved on from your crying because EFAP didn't like a show you like, maybe you should stop throwing snide jabs at them.
No.